We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, and 1410 KERI. So, Clay, what did you think of Wayne Allen Root?
Have you heard anybody talk so fast as Wayne Allen Root does?
You know, he talks like a Vegas odds maker.
Man, I'll tell you,
I like him a lot.
I hope he's right.
Well, I think he's right. I think it's going to be a landslide. One of the things, when you look at the polls lately, they've been, the gyration, 10 points one way or the other. Then you find out the poll has been using the 2008 matrix for Obama, which he's not going to get that kind of voting block that he had in 2008. So the matrix are totally different. So
no, not at all.
And that throws the numbers off entirely. So I think he's right. I think it is going to be a landslide.
What we have to do is get everybody to vote. Not that it means anything in California, but I think I'm going to go to Vegas and bang on some doors.
Hey, there you go.
Casino doors.
And how about that for a great segue? You're talking about getting everybody out to vote. Our next guests, Richard Holdcraft and Tom Pavich. Did I pronounce that right, Tom?
Pavich.
I was close. No cookie. From the Election Integrity Project. Richard, Tom, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Hey, thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I firmly believe in what you guys are doing. In fact, I'm going to be a part of it on Election Day. Tell us what the Election Integrity Project is.
The Election Integrity Project is a California organization. It was founded in 2010. We are a nonpartisan citizen volunteer group. We want to make sure there are fair and honest elections in accordance with California and state law. We expect to be in 28 California counties for the November election. We have 2,500 volunteers right now. And what we do is ensure every legally cast vote is counted. We do that by working with the elections office, by observing the polls, and that's why we're here. We're seeking volunteers, and we do that by analyzing the voter registration roll.
So will you be at the elections office to watch how they count the votes?
In the evening, we're going to have representatives there to watch the process. They match signatures to decide whether to count a vote. They take your registration signature and match it to your signature on the ballot. So if you've had your signature degenerate across time, you might want to re-register to make sure you have a good signature. You can do that up until October 22nd.
And you can do that if you're moving too as well, right?
Yes, you can.
I'll be moving.
Yes, you can.
Okay, good.
So what are you going to do actually at the voting booths?
Well, we will have 2 poll observers at the polling location. One will be outside, one will be inside. They'll switch off during the day, and they can carry a chair if they'd like. And you're going to be there at 6:30 in the morning. You're going to be looking at the opening process, ensure the machines are running, that the vote counts are 0, that the ballot box is empty, that the rosters are put out. During the day, you'll be watching for the process to go according to the laws. And in the evening, after it's closed at 8 p.m., you'll make sure nobody's in the line after 8 p.m. You'll watch the poll observers pack up their materials, seal the ballots, reconcile the votes, and you'll follow them to the central collection point to make sure that there's no shenanigans with the ballots. Now, switching back, we will train poll observers, and we will have a approximately 3-hour training class.
And you don't care whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or what, do you?
No, we're nonpartisan. We want to make sure the law's followed. We want everyone who can cast their vote legally to have it counted. That's very important to us.
Now, Richard, the fact that you guys even exist presupposes something, okay? Why do we need an election integrity project?
Well, I think it's a very complex process. You have to be trained to follow the rules. The county does have training. They have about 30 training sessions before the election. They have a handbook they issue. But the goodness of following those procedures are somewhat dependent upon how well the site supervisor is willing to follow the procedures, as well as the poll workers. It's every citizen's right to observe the poll, and so we are taking advantage of that right. One of the key things we found in June when we were at the polling sites was that the law requires a voter to state their name and address when they arrive at the poll.
In English?
In English or Spanish,
Okay.
depending on the amount of Spanish-speaking people that are in that precinct.
But they don't have to show ID.
They do not have to show ID. But the poll worker of the
Amazing.
county must restate their name and address to them and then have them sign the roster. We found that they weren't doing that in some location, and that was a deep concern to us. And so we met with the elections office, and they've been open to our suggestions and brought that up to them. And they said they would mention that again in their training, although they feel that if you bring up a sample ballot with your name and address, that's good enough. That's not what the law requires.
Right.
Let me let Tom tell you a little bit about his experience in 40 Acres, Delano.
Okay, now hold on 1 second before you do. Our in-studio guests, Richard and Tom from the Election Integrity Project.
You know, it's funny you said that because I was going to turn to Tom. I've been watching him writing note after note after note after note. I'm going to say, Tom, what are you writing over there?
Well, I'm preparing for the next interview that I have by myself. Richard's
Okay.
Richard's the expert here.
Okay, getting
but
close to the mic there, Tom.
Sure. My experience, I had the opportunity to be a poll observer at the 40 Acres location in Delano. That's the location of the United Farm Workers Union. And we found it throughout the entire morning, almost all of the poll workers were not asking the voter to cite their name and address, and certainly if they weren't doing that, they weren't repeating it. Even after bringing it to the attention of the supervisor, they just didn't seem to think that that was that important. So that was a significant irregularity. At the end of the day, after the votes were packaged up, they all went into one box, and there were 3 precincts at this location, so they had to go back through and separate everything and reconcile and make sure that they had the right number of ballots in the right precinct, and then everything got bundled up into a large suitcase and ready to go off to the distribution point. And while we were there, I was there with another poll observer from the Election Integrity Project. The suitcase was left alone for a period of about 5 minutes. The precinct door was wide open. Anybody could have walked in there, although, you know, we were there, nothing would have happened. But if we weren't there, anybody conceivably could have come in and tampered with the ballots.
So that would have been ballots that were found later in somebody's trunk.
Possibly. After that, we did follow the vehicle to the central collection agency there in Delano, where multiple precincts came together. The law does require that the poll worker must have a second person ride with them in the car at all time, and they did follow that. So, you know, the whole process was it was interesting. It was very rewarding for me as a citizen to see this process that we have in this great nation take hold. But it's complicated. You know, there are over 400 different ballots in Kern County alone for the primary, when you have the different parties, and then you have federal, state, county, water districts, hospital districts, and judges and things like that. For every precinct, they had 400 different combinations. Plus, they all have to be in Spanish.
Sure.
And in places like Delano, they require them to be in Tagalog, the Filipino language. So it's a complicated process.
Sure. Let's pick up there when we come back, okay?
You bet.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180.